What's up, Wise Flyers? Welcome to another episode of Points on Points, where we talk about travel points, credit cards, and anything else travel related. My name is David, your host and founder of Wise Flies. Today we are joined by our special guest, Zach from travelfreely.net. Zach, how are you today?
What's up, David? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So the way this show works is we talk about the 5 topics that are on the screen right now. And we have a 2-minute timer that we get to each put our own perspective and expertise on each topic. And
sounds good.
Yeah, so before we get started, let's learn a little bit more about Zach. So Zach, how did you get started with credit cards and travel points, and what is travelfreely.net?
Yeah, so actually pretty interesting beginning for me. The first credit card I ever got for travel rewards ended up allowing me to propose to my wife. So I got the 100,000 British Airways mile bonus, which is kind of like legendary now, back in 2010. And that allowed me to get 2 round-trip tickets to Europe, proposed in southern France. And that was amazing. Ever since then, I was hooked and just wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. And that actually led to Travel Freely. So travelfreely.net is a free service that lets you manage your credit cards for free. It gives you email reminders for your annual fees and your sign-up deadlines. And then it's got a recommendations page called Card Genie that lets you know what the next best offers are and gives you the right time to apply for them. So I tried to do that actually out of my own need to stay organized and have a system to manage it all. So that's what Travel Freely is.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, it's funny, the British Airways card for the 100,000 point sign-up bonus, that was one of my first cards as well.
Nice.
I think I got that back in 2011. That's what started me off. And I was hooked after that as well. Also, for everyone watching, if you want links to travelfreely.net, that's all in the description below. Just feel free to click through. You can learn more about Zach's service and everything like that. So also, Zach, one more question. What has been your favorite award redemption?
So it probably is that Southern France ticket. That was a pretty epic proposal. Otherwise, I would say flying my first business class trip to Istanbul before I started a 3-week tour of Turkey and Greece. I got my first business class seat for $14 in taxes. That was really amazing. So hard to even fathom that I would have ever been in business class, let alone like a $6,000-$7,000 flight all the way over there. So that was probably the highlight.
That's amazing. Yeah, you can't beat that. First time you ever fly business class, you never forget it. That's awesome. You got it for only $14 in taxes. Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right, so are you ready to go, Zach?
Let's do it.
All right, so our first topic is going to be airline credit cards versus flexible points earning credit cards. And we're going to start the timer now and give us the pros and cons of each. All right, you're up, Zach.
All right, so I don't think there are too many pros for the airlines cards compared to the flexible transferable points cards. I mean, if you're looking at the best value and the best flexibility, you are going to want those transferable flexible points cards like Chase Sapphire Preferred, Amex Gold, Amex Platinum, Citi Thank You Premier, those cards. The reason I would say that is just because they get so many good spending categories on everyday monthly spending, but also the transfer partners that they have, and then the ease of use with the travel portals, especially with Chase, is hard to beat. And if you're trying to look for like the best overall card, you don't have to really choose. You know, the transferable flexible card is sort of like the Uno wild card. Like you have to pick a flight, and you can go ahead and use the wild card, and you don't have to be pinned into a certain airline. You can go ahead and look up your options, book in the travel portal, or go to the transfer partner. You've got options, and you're not, bummed out on missing some better flight.
Yes, definitely agree. And that Uno wild card definitely brings back memories from when I was like 8-9 years old.
Yeah,
good times. Okay, so my take on this is, I agree with you. I think flexible having a credit card that earns flexible points is good. I think you explained it perfectly with Chase, Citi, American Express. The way I look at it is that each card is a tool, right? So they each have their own benefits. I think airline credit cards, co-branded credit cards, are really good for the sign-up bonus, right? Like it's hard to match. Yeah, like the Citi Advantage Platinum Select card, currently at 60,000 American airline miles. We have the United card currently at 60,000. Delta sometimes goes up and down between 60, 70,000. So, all right, there's a timer. So I think that airline credit cards are great for the sign-up bonus, or if you're trying to go for elite status, or if you want free check bags, or lounge passes like the United card. But for everyday spending, after you reach the sign-up bonus, or, I think you're better off putting your spending on flexible earning transfer points, earning cards, just like you said.
Yeah, I think they can be very complementary, right? So you definitely want the airline card that you travel on most to get all those benefits that you listed, especially like the free bags. But in terms of your everyday spending, you want to use the flexible card for the everyday spending.
Yeah, exactly. And since airlines are constantly devaluing their loyalty programs on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you don't want all of your points in one of these programs and have it devalue and only be stuck with certain options when it's time to redeem those points. You want to be able, like Zach said, use that Uno card, that wild card, so that you could transfer to whichever airline gives you the cheapest redemption for whatever destination you're going to.
Yeah, that's a great point.
All right, so next topic is best business credit card. So I'm going to start the timer now. I'll take this one. Okay. So the best business credit card, in my opinion, is the Chase Inc. Cash Card. So the reason why I think this is such a great business credit card is because you get 5 points per dollar spent in multiple categories, such as office supply, internet, and if you ever do any advertising, like social media ads, like Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you'll get 5 points per dollar spent there. So I think to maximize your spending, the Chase in Cash is good. Of course, there are other good Chase credit cards as well, but I think in order to maximize your spending with businesses, Chase in Cash is good. Also, if you want to combine those Chase Ultimate Reward points with either the Sapphire or the Chasing Preferred, you get a lot more value when you could transfer those points over to transfer partners, which is kind of what we touched upon before. Zach, what are your thoughts on Best Business Card?
Yeah, I mean, I love that card. Don't forget, you can go get Amazon gift cards at Office Depot and get 5 times Amazon points for 5 times Chase points for Amazon gift cards using
Pro tip.
Cash. Yeah.
That's a pro tip right there. Yeah.
But I love the In Cash is kind of like the starter card for a small business owner because it's easier spending requirement and maybe a little easier to get approved. But I would say, like, hands down, you got to say that the Inc. Preferred is the best card. So, right now, 80,000 point bonus, and you get the 25% bump in the travel portal when you use your points to book travel there. You get 3 times points for the travel purchases that you make with it, and then just the fact that you can transfer it over to your personal Sapphire cards is also a great bonus. So 80,000 points in the travel portals, minimum $1,000 worth of free travel. So that's like, if you're going to get one business card, you got to go there, and especially if you can hit the spending requirements.
Since we are on the topic of business credit cards, let's talk about our next topic, which is business credit card eligibility, how or whether or not you are eligible to open up a business credit card, even if you don't have a business. So Zach, we'll start the timer and you take this one.
All right, yeah. So I think a lot of people that just listened to the last part on business cards might say, well, that doesn't apply to me. But it's literally, if you can say you earn $1 doing something, you have a business. So you don't have to have a big company. You don't have to have a big business. If you have anything that earns some kind of money, then you actually have a business. So you don't need an LLC. You don't need a tax identification number known as an EIN. You can actually apply as a sole proprietor using your social security number as your EIN and your name as the business name. And anybody can do it. So if you sell stuff online, if you do some tutoring, coaching on the side, that actually counts as a business. So I think it's worth putting in that time to research if you want to get a business card, because it's not just for someone that is working 9 to 5 on their business. It's for almost anybody, literally, that can say they have something that earns a little bit of money.
Yes, definitely. Great point, Zach. And I'll have to admit, the very first time I applied for a business credit card, I was a little nervous because I didn't have an actual business at the time. Currently, I just use Wiseflies as my business, so it's a lot easier. I have an EIN and everything attached to that. I could show proof of income. But even if you don't have a business, like Zach said, you can get a business credit card. And even if you don't want to use your social security number, it's very easy to get an EIN number. So if you go to, if you just type in get EIN number IRS on Google, it'll take you to a page where within seconds you could create an EIN. It's completely free. And if you don't make any money with that EIN, think of it as a social security number. If no money is coming into that EIN, you never have to pay any taxes. So, but of course, do your own research with all this. And there's a timer. Speak to an accountant to confirm. I feel like I just have to say that when talking about this type of stuff.
Cool.
All right. So next topic we're going to talk about is player 2 options. So I'll start the timer. I'll take this one. So basically, player 2 mode is basically referring to if you have a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever, you both could get the same credit cards and pretty much maximize the credit card sign-up bonuses. So for example, Zach and I are both married, and I'm not sure about you, Zach, but I wear the points in the family. So basically I take care of all the credit cards and points and everything like that. So whatever I apply for, usually I have my wife apply for as well. So for example, recently we both got the Chase World of Hyatt card. She got it for $60,000. I got it for $60,000, which makes things a lot easier. Not just for hotels, but also for airline credit cards as well. It would be difficult for just one person to get enough miles for flights. But when you split it up between 2 people, your partner gets one and you get one. You both get the sign-up bonus. It's a lot easier to book the flights that way. Also, you could, if you want to space out the credit card applications as well, that's a good strategy. So you could be 1 or 2 months behind. For example, I apply for a new credit card every 3 months, and I have my wife apply for one every 3 months as well. But there's like a 1 to 2 month difference in between. So if there's any overlap in either one of us completing the minimum spending, we could do so pretty easily. So Zach, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you had a lot of really good points. I mean, I think I would add that for people aware of 524 and wanting to get the best Chase cards, this is a great way if you can double up. Instead of maxing out your own accounts, you can stagger them and actually space them out pretty well to not worry too much about 524. And if you have a business like we talked about, then that's even more spacing out of your application. So I think I just see really, really common practice. People think that an authorized user card is a second account, and it's not. So you are allowed to have 2 primary account cards. And like you said, for many reasons, if it's Sapphire Preferred, if it's Capital One Venture, if it's hotel cards, doubling up is just huge. So especially, the hotel cards that aren't maybe the best, just to get one of them. If you get 2 and you can stay 4, 5, 6 nights out of 2 applications, that is, an amazing vacation with just one application on each side. So definitely pays off to be organized with that and know who has what card and who can apply for a second. And I also use that with a companion pass, so you can stagger every 2 years. If the rules stay the same, one person can get the companion pass for the next 2 years. Then 2 years later, the other person's ready to go, and you just go back and forth.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to touch upon a point that you just mentioned before, that if you are an authorized user, that doesn't count as opening a credit card. It may count towards 524, but I think if your name is on the credit card as an authorized user, so for example, if I open up a credit card and I make my wife an authorized user, her name is on the credit card, she did not open that credit card, so you can still get that credit card sign-up bonus. I just want to be clear on that because a lot of people have asked me, it doesn't matter if your name is on the card, it's whether or not you opened it as the primary account holder.
Exactly. Great point.
Yes. All right. So let's get to our last topic, which is going to be rookie mistakes. So Zach, you're going to take this one. I'm going to start the timer now. Go for it.
All right, so I'll list two. First one's pretty quick, is like the offers in the mail and just giving up to good marketing, I would say. So like just because the piece in the mail says this is a great offer doesn't necessarily mean it is. Or the clickbait online just says this is a really great offer. You got to do a little bit of homework and see if it really is. And a lot of times there's actually a higher offer available, or that card's not even very good compared to the others you could get. So that's important. And then one I tell a lot of people all the time is just buying miles is not a great way to go. So even I see this with American a lot. They put their miles on sale, or they give you a 60% bump in the miles if you buy X number of miles. And if you do the math, you pay about $1,500 for the same amount of miles you would get in one sign-up bonus.
Yes.
So the only caveat to that is like if you're trying to book one flight and you need 2,000 or 3,000 miles to top up your account, that's when I would say it's worth paying a little more for those miles to go ahead and get that flight. But most of the time, it's never worth it to flat out buy miles. Even at the end of purchasing a ticket, if they say, "Hey, you can get this many miles for $55 or $200," like the math never works out on those. So definitely steer clear of that marketing to buy miles, and it's rarely ever a good deal to buy them.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point with buying miles. I've never seen it work out where it's a good calculation. Also, on the topic of buying miles, I want to also recommend for all the viewers, don't buy miles from people's accounts. So there are websites that'll sell like 50,000 Alaska Airline miles for like 1 cent each or something like that, 1.4 cents, and it may seem like a good deal, especially the amount of value that you could get with like a first class, business class seat on some of these loyalty programs. But I've heard a lot of scams with those websites of buying miles. So they're not coming directly from the airline itself. They're coming from third-party websites where people will sell their miles. They'll let you use the miles, book the flight, but then they claw back those miles. They may cancel the flight. So you could be somewhere in the Maldives or Rome and looking to get your return trip home, and they cancel that flight, and there's nothing you can do about it. So be very careful when it comes to buying miles from third-party sites.
I also just add one more point, sort of on the buying miles thing is not to transfer miles within your own loyalty account. So like United or American charging like huge fees if I am to transfer my miles to my wife,
right,
or a friend. And going back to the very first topic of the flexible cards, if you have points in your flexible account, you can transfer those for free to a household member out from that Chase account instead of within United, and that's not going to be a good deal. So be aware of that. It's always better to hoard those points in your flexible accounts so that you can transfer them to the appropriate person instead of get stuck later having to transfer miles from one United member to another United member.
Definitely. That's another good point. You could just book several people's itineraries within one loyalty account. You don't have to transfer to book it for each person. So a rookie mistake that I wanted to touch upon was keeping a card open and paying the annual fees just to keep the miles or points from expiring. So I see this a lot too with beginners, is they may get the Citibank Advantage Platinum Select card with American Airline miles, and they have, 50,000, 70,000, 100,000 American Airline miles in their account, but they're paying that $99 annual fee year after year. I met one person, they paid it for 7 years, never once used the miles, but the reason why they didn't cancel the card and not pay that $99 annual fee is because they thought once they canceled the card that the miles would go away, they would disappear. So one thing that happens is if you do call up and cancel, I don't recommend that. I'll give another tip of what to do in that scenario, but the representative will say, just to give you a warning, in whatever words they use, give you a warning, whatever miles you earned, you have to be okay with forfeiting or forfeit whatever miles you earned in the last statement, right? So basically they're just referring to the last credit card statement, whatever miles you earned, those are gonna be the ones that are gonna be gone, not the ones that are already in your loyalty account. So the loyalty account and the credit card account are completely separate entities. Once the miles are in your American Airlines account, the credit cards, for the most part, can't do anything to take those away. So what I would recommend in this scenario is with the American Airlines Platinum Select card, which has a $99 annual fee. If you don't have any American Airline plans at all, you could just downgrade it to the Mile Up card, which is a no annual fee card, and you could still earn American Airline miles. And if you just make one purchase on that card, every 18 months, you just reset the clock and make sure your miles don't expire.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah. So that would be a rookie mistake that I think a lot of people make. Zach, any other rookie mistakes?
Well, there's a lot, but yeah, I think we touched on the business, not knowing you have a business. If you're married, have a partner, not knowing that you can double up, offers in the mail, those things. And I think also, not using the same card for 10 years, that would be, total beginner thinks that they know the points and miles game just because they've got one card that they've used for 10 years and they get a flight every 4 or 5 years. That's a huge mistake by their own ignorance and arrogance, maybe. So like they need to know they could get that bonus again probably on that card, and they need to be looking at a few others.
Yes, definitely. There are so many flavors of credit cards to get. Don't just stick with one. All right, Zach, do you have any final thoughts, and also share with us where we could get in touch with you, website, social media handles?
Yeah, sure. So travelfreely.net is my website, and it is a free service to get your best offers for cards, to manage them, basically put 90% of your credit card free travel hobby on autopilot. So that's been my goal with the software. That's really the place you want to go. Travelfreely.net, get started, and you add your cards, and then you'll get some recommendations. But other spots, I'm on Facebook, and we're working on our socials at iTravelFreely are the handles for everything. But thanks for having me on, David. This is awesome, and wish the best of luck to your readers and your listeners and your viewers. So
yes.
Good luck to everybody as you guys travel freely, and look for the best in free travel by being with Wiseflies.
Thank you so much for that plug, Zach. And yeah, thank you so much for being on, Zach. And everyone watching this, if you want to watch more videos, I have a playlist of points on points. You could click the link right over here, one of these this playlist over here, and I'll see you in the next video.